Good evening. Welcome to the November 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Stillwater City Council. At this time, I will call the meeting to order, and I'll ask that, well, first of all, I'm going to ask Troop 802, a local Boy Scout troop, come on up. Scouts, they're here to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we're going to all stand and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scouts. Thank you, Scouts. We always appreciate when we have local groups that come in to help us with the pledge, and appreciate the Scouts for being here and learning about civic government. First up on the agenda tonight, we have a proclamation in recognition of Homelessness Awareness Month, and we have some of the staff and the board from the Mission of Hope, a local agency who helps serve our homeless population here in Stillwater. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, then I would love to invite the staff and the board from the Mission of Hope to come up and say a few words as well. So I'll go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas every person deserves safe, stable housing and the opportunity to build a healthy and fulfilling life. And whereas homelessness affects individuals and families from every background, including children, seniors, veterans, and those experiencing economic hardship, mental health challenges, or domestic violence. And whereas Stillwater is a caring and resilient community that recognizes housing insecurity as a human issue that requires compassion, understanding, and collective action. And whereas the Mission of Hope and other partners have served as a vital lifeline in Stillwater and our surrounding region, providing emergency shelter, supportive services, encouragement, and pathways to housing for community members in need, while helping restore hope, dignity, and independence in the lives of those they serve. And whereas increasing awareness and education about homelessness encourages community involvement, fosters prevention, and strengthens efforts to ensure everyone in Stillwater has a safe place to call home. Now therefore, I, William Joyce, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim November 2025 as Homelessness Awareness Month in Stillwater, and urge residents to learn more about the experiences of individuals facing homelessness, support organizations making a difference, and work together to build a stronger, more compassionate community for all. Mission and Hope, you'd like to join us?
Well, thank you for this proclamation. There's nobody that does working with homeless people more than the Mission of Hope. Their staff does a great job, and it's a tough job. And we just, as a board, we just really we're thankful for them, and we're thankful for you guys.
Squeeze in.
Yeah, here we go.
I know most of us up here on the council have gotten questions about homelessness in Stillwater and what people can do to help, and the Mission of Hope is certainly a great place for anyone who's interested in helping serve the homeless population here in Stillwater. Reach out to the mission and they will help plug you in. So thank you for them being here. All right, item 4 on the agenda is our consent docket. Councilors, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Takes us to item 7, public hearings. 7A is receive public comment regarding a request for a specific use permit to operate a healthcare and social assistance facility in a commercial shopping zoning district, property addressed as 1525 Southwestern Road. This is CC-25-149. Do we have good notice on this item?
Yes, we do.
Henry?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilors. My name is Henry Biebelheimer with Development Services, and tonight we're looking at a specific use permit for 1525 Southwestern Road. This specific use permit is to allow healthcare and social assistance in the commercial shopping, or CF. So here's an aerial of the property. As you can see, you have up on the north side, you have Fountain Square, the primary shopping center there, and then you have this tail of lots that kind of go south. This is on the very southern edge of Fountain Square, as we see outlined in pink. This property is currently vacant, as we can see in this aerial view. This is from Western looking east. The applicant is proposing to build a kidney dialysis center here. A kidney dialysis center would fall under the umbrella of healthcare services and social assistance, which requires a specific use permit in the CS zoning district, or commercial shopping, which this property is. To the north and to the east, we have more CS or commercial shopping. To the south and to the west, we have P or public with some RSS or small lot single family also on the west side of Western. On the future land use map, this property is called for commercial uses. A specific use permit to allow for healthcare and social assistance at this property would align with the comprehensive plan. And I'm open to answer any questions if you have any.
Councilors, any questions for staff? Hearing none, at this time I'll open the public hearing. I don't have anyone signed up to speak at this public hearing. Is anyone here for this public hearing? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, and I'll ask Henry to come back up and let us know if there's a recommendation on the item.
Yes, sir. On October 7th, 2025, with a vote of 4-0, Planning Commission recommended that the City Council approve the specific use permit as presented.
Thank you. Councilors?
Motion to accept Planning Commission's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that specific use permit is approved. Item 7B is receive public comment regarding a text amendment to Chapter 23 Land Development Code, Article 1 General Provisions, Section 23-7 Definitions, Article 5 Use Categories and Limitations, Division 1 Generally, Section 23-96 Definitions, Article 6 Land Use Classifications, Division 4 Commercial Districts, Section 23-152 CB Commercial Business District, Subsection A Permitted by Right, and Article 24, Table of Uses, Section 23-435, created. CC-25-150. Do we have good notice on this item?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Biebelheimer.
Yes, sir. So as you stated, this is a text amendment for unit or condominium ownership. A little context of how we got here. This was raised by BRC, or our Building Relations Committee, with some issues on how we currently address unit ownership. Right now, we address unit ownership as a use that is only allowed in the CB or commercial business district, which means if you would like to condo a building or to make it owned individually instead of as a property, you can only do that in the one zoning district. It was brought to our attention that this is the only time where ownership is taken into account when you're looking at use. So to make that make a little more sense, if you're building a apartment complex, whether those apartments are going to be rented or whether they're going to be sold as condos did not necessarily affect the underlying use, which would be residential multifamily. So that was kind of what brought about this text amendment. The goal of this text amendment is just to remove unit ownership as a use. We do have another section in our code that states that any building that is being condoed, whether it's residential or commercial, does require that all state laws are followed when that building is being condoed, and that all the documentation to support that has to be submitted to the Development Services Director for us to review, just to make sure everything is being done properly. None of those codes are being changed. That is all still in place. This is just removing it as a use. So now we have these list of sections that we're changing. We'll look at those one at a time. So first off, we have 2396, which is our land use classifications. This is one of our two main sections where we define things in our code. In this section, we define our uses, In the next section we look at, which is 23.7, we have our general definitions. So we're removing unit condominium ownership from the use classifications to the general definitions, not changing the definition, just moving where it's located. Next, we have the CB district. This is a section where you list out all the uses that are allowed by right. Since we're no longer regulating unit ownership as a use, we're removing it as a use from this section. Very similarly, in the table of allowed uses, where once again we have all of our uses listed, we're just removing this as a use. So in summary, kind of like we stated, right now, unit ownership is only allowed in CB or the commercial business zoning district. If this text amendment were to be approved, unit or condominium ownership is allowed in any zoning district because it won't be regulated as a use. All documentation required by the state of Oklahoma for condoing a building shall still be submitted to the city of Stillwater for review. I'm open to answer any questions if you have any.
Councilors, any questions for staff? Seeing none, at this time I will open the public hearing. I also don't have anyone signed up for this public hearing. Is there anyone here that was planning to speak? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Is there a staff recommendation or a planning commission recommendation on this one?
Yes, sir. On October 7th, 2025, with a vote of 4-0, Planning Commission recommended that the City Council approve the text amendment as presented.
Thank you, sir. Councilors,
I move to accept the Planning Commission recommendation.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation. Please vote. Recommendation is accepted with a vote of 5-0. Item 7C is receive public comment regarding a text amendment to Chapter 23 Land Development Code, Article 5, Use Categories and Limitations, Division 2, Accessory Use Categories and Regulations, Section 23-105, Sidewalk, Street, and Parking Lot Table Service Areas. CC-25-151. Did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, we do.
Henry.
Yes, sir. So this is a text amendment to amend the Sidewalk Cafe section of our code. Once again, to give you a little context and to make this make sense, when we look at sidewalk cafes, we're going to have three different parts of a sidewalk cafe. You have the cafe itself, you have the sidewalk cafe with an enclosure, normally like a black fence. I'm picturing like a Granny's where you have the cafe, you have the enclosure where people can sit, and then you have the sidewalk where people can walk. So right now, the way our code is written, which as you can see right here, it requires that you have the cafe, then the 6 foot of sidewalk, and then the sidewalk cafe. So the sidewalk would go in between the cafe and where everyone is sitting outside. This came about because someone was applying to build a sidewalk cafe. They were proposing to put the sidewalk cafe where everyone is sitting up against the building, which does follow the built environment, kind of what you see downtown. It also follows best practices, so that's something we wanted to allow and encourage. But the way our code is written, we wouldn't have been able to approve that. So we're amending our code so that when sidewalk cafes are built, they would be constructed to follow those best practices and the built environment. So the section that we're changing, instead of reading that whole paragraph, I'm just going to read that sentence in green. The physical barrier shall leave at least 6 feet of sidewalk between the building and table service area unobstructed and open to pedestrian travel. We're proposing to amend that to, and for this slide, I'm going to go ahead and start at the beginning. All tables, chairs, and service-related facilities shall be contained within a physical barrier, normally that fence, abutting the building. There shall be at least 6 feet of sidewalk outside the physical barrier, which is open and unobstructed to pedestrian traffic. So that sidewalk is not changing in size, still has to be unobstructed. It's just changing the cafe to now be up against the building instead of outside that sidewalk.
Do we know the history of how this original rule came to be? Because it just intuitively is backwards.
I don't know. I do know that the section right after this is for the cafes and the parking lots, and this sounds like it could be a holdover from something like that. So I can't say for sure. I'm not sure, but could be something like that.
Okay, thank you.
How does this affect, I'm thinking of Zanotti's downtown, where they have the outdoor seating in the parking spaces.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
does that affect that type of establishment?
It doesn't affect that type of establishment just because when you're taking up public parking, that's regulated by a different section of code. It's either right after or right before this one. So this is specifically for the tables and seating areas on the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, you can finish. Do you still have more to?
No, sir.
Is it you
I'm
at the-
open to
okay.
answer questions.
Before
Yeah.
we got into answering questions, I want to make sure you were done. So in a situation where it might follow the built environment better to have a situation where you have the sidewalk go through and then the tables on the far side of the sidewalk, are we saying that that's not going to be allowed ever? Or is that still a possibility depending on what works best for the specific cafe?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now it's written so that it wouldn't be allowed. We would only be able to approve a sidewalk cafe if it was against the building.
Is that what we want to do? Because it sounds, I mean, to me, it seems like we would want to at least have the option to say if it makes sense. I mean, we still want to have 6 feet of clear sidewalk, but in some cases that might work best if it's the tables are out on the curb and the sidewalk is in between the tables and the building.
Yeah, we did question that, and before we kind of proposed this text amendment, we did send it to our planning consultant to review kind of the best practices and what other cities are doing, and he came back with the recommendation to require them against the building, which is kind of this path forward, but we could of course still amend that to allow both options if that was the preference.
I'm thinking of one business downtown that might actually fall in that scenario that you just indicated.
Well, which one?
Roundhouse.
Yeah, they have tables across, like in the, and I'm thinking of, I mean, also like Louis downtown doesn't have a physical barrier.
That's true.
If I may just add one piece, in reviewing this was a little bit reactionary to receiving an application where we realized that what has previously been approved does not meet the code requirements. And so again, this change was intended to kind of align with the environment that's out there. This section, along with others, we're going to do a presentation a little bit later in the meeting, is flagged for review when we do a complete Chapter 23 review and rewrite, because we do think that this is an area we can make some improvements to. As far as how we handle, how we want to regulate future development of this nature.
So you're saying this is kind of a Band-Aid to make sure we're not prohibiting things that should happen right
Yeah.
now, but we're going to do a bigger review of it later.
Yes. You want to add to that?
And
Supervisor Moore?
existing restaurants that are the other way are grandfathered?
I'm not aware of any right
Well,
now
we
that
just
would
talked
need to
about
be
Roundhouse.
grandfathered. And again, I would have to see if they even have a sidewalk cafe permit. I've not reviewed that, but we would certainly want to accommodate something that's already established and in place, and we'll review that.
But an owner could go to Board of Adjustments and ask for a variance, correct? Or, that's correct or not, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to review that.
Okay, that answer.
Is there a variance or an exception that would apply to this type of development on site? I'm not aware if there is, but we'll also review that. We'll follow up on some of these additional questions. Again, this proposed revision was intended to ensure that applications that are currently being considered are compliant with the code provision.
Further questions for staff? Anything else you want to add at this point?
No, sir.
All right. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Shockingly, I don't have anyone signed up to speak on this item either. Is anyone here planning to speak on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Henry, what was the recommendation from the Planning Commission?
On October 7th, 2025, with a vote of 4-0, Planning Commission recommended that the City Council approve the text amendment as presented.
Thank you, Henry. Councilors?
Motion to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Henry. Look forward to seeing the additional changes to that section that we'll eventually get.
Next week.
Takes us to item 8 on the agenda, general orders. 8A, consider approval of a professional services agreement in an amount not to exceed $110,000 with Civic Dynamics LLC for Land Development Code Chapter 23, update and rewrite. Hey, look. Approval of related budget revision and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. Mr. Barth.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I couldn't have asked for a better lead-in to my item than to have 2 text amendments. So I'm super excited to be here tonight to discuss an update to our Land Development Code, which is formerly known as Chapter 23 of the City Code. The Land Development Code, as you know, provides regulations on zoning map amendments, plating, planned unit development, specific use permits, and other land use applications. The current land development code was adopted in 2008 and has not substantially been updated or changed since. Also, you know that the city is currently finalizing the Envision Stillwater 2045 comprehensive plan, and that effort included a diagnostic look at our current land development code and how it aligns with our with the comp plan that we're about to update. And so this is just the perfect timing for this. During the past 10 months, including twice tonight, the council has seen a few text amendments to Chapter 23, and there are soon to be more. Rather than continue to modify our code in a piecemeal fashion, which is very time consuming, also introduces the risk for errors, we just decided that this is the time to rewrite Chapter 23 in its entirety. The new land development code will be streamlined and easy to follow and have easy to follow processes for all land use applications. It will have use plain language, and when describing regulations, there will be graphics. It will be modernized to include newer types of developments, such as pocket neighborhoods or small planned unit developments, which I know is not a new development type, but it is to here, to Stillwater. Staff has negotiated a professional services agreement with Civic Dynamics LLC, who is our current planning consultant on other planning types of things, to rewrite Chapter 23 and to provide additional text amendment language for modifying other chapters that are related to Chapter 23, such as Chapter 37, which covers streets and the public right-of-way, and Chapter 41, which covers utilities. So we'll be looking at changes in those chapters as well, so that everything we don't have any conflicts. I do have a recommended motion, but before that, does the council have any questions?
Councilors?
Can you tell us just a little bit about what this process will look like? Is it completely kind of self-contained with staff and Civic Dynamics, or is there any kind of outward discussion with the community about what that code looks like?
Great question. With this process, if this is authorized, this process is hopefully going to start in a couple of weeks with a kickoff meeting. It's scheduled to take about 12 months for us to have a draft, a final draft ready to approve of the entire land development code. This process involves a block schedule that has several components being worked on, and there will be meetings with an internal committee plus the Builders Relations Committee. We're going to meet with them, I think, 4 times. Our consultant will meet with them 4 times. We'll obviously meet with them more than that. We will also be providing the draft chapters or draft language to the public throughout the process to make sure that we're getting input. But primarily on this particular chapter, the input that we get is from the people who live and breathe in this document all the time, which is development community and engineers and and then obviously staff. So we'll be working on it a lot. But yeah, we're excited about this process, and it's going to be very interactive for the next 12 months.
I do think it's important, though I recognize that those are kind of the key players of kind of users of this language. The community kind of at large is kind of stakeholders in that as well. So I do think kind of the transparency of that process is important.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and I don't feel like we've decided yet how we'll do that, whether we'll put it on our website or exactly how that transparency and sharing it with the public will be. But our idea is not to work on this in a vacuum and then just put it out there in 12 months and say, read it in 20 minutes and tell us what you think. So no, we want the community. This community is going to change obviously in the next 20 years, and if you look at our comp plan, there's a lot of neat things in there, and we need a code that supports developing that way. And so that doesn't just take the development community or staff. It takes other citizens, and trying to get other citizens involved sometimes is challenging, but we definitely need people who are interested to participate.
Yeah, hopefully, we've done so much work on the comprehensive plan. I think that's a great opportunity to lean into the work and stakeholders that were participating in that process, and a great opportunity to update them on the kind of implementation, the startings of that implementation of this comp plan too. So.
Yes.
Councilors, further questions? What's your recommendation for us, David?
Sure. Staff recommends a motion to approve a professional services agreement for an amount not to exceed $110,000 with Civic Dynamics LLC for Land Development Code Chapter 23, update and rewrite, approval of the related budget revision, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement.
Councilors?
Motion to accept staff recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that item is approved.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, David. Item 9 is resolutions. 9A, Resolution CC-2025-28, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma, a municipal corporation, to sign and issue an election proclamation calling for a general election and a runoff election if needed in the city of Stillwater.
So this is the election, the resolution that authorizes the election proclamation for Councilor number 5. The mayor's seat is expiring, so we need to call an election. This election proclamation calls a general election on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, and a runoff election, if needed, to be held on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. The candidate filing period is December 1st through December 3rd, 2025. And I do need to make one note. The resolution has not changed, but in the election proclamation itself, under general election, the first sentence that currently reads, in the event that more than 2 persons file, it should read in the event that more than 1 person files as a candidate for the following office. I've made that revision. It's available online now, and there's updated documents in the room available if you would like one.
Thank you. Councilors, questions, comments, or action on the resolution?
Motion to adopt resolution CC 2025-28.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, resolution 2025-28 is adopted. So that will mean there will be an election on February 10th, and candidate filing period for the office of mayor is December 1st through the 3rd, 2025. Item 9B, Resolution CC-2025-29, a resolution concerning the City of Stillwater's bridge safety inspection responsibility pursuant to a national bridge inspection standards and notification to the Oklahoma Department of Transportation of bridge inspection consultant selection for bridge inspection contracts commencing April 1st, 2026 through March 31, 2028.
This is not nearly as complicated as all the words indicate. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name's Ann Kalina. I'm here representing the engineering department tonight as one of the civil engineers. Bill Millis is out of town this week. So the resolution that I'm going to talk to you about is one that was requested by TxDOT and is one that has been requested by TxDOT about every 2 years for a number of years now.
And I'm just going to correct one thing, ODOT, Oklahoma Department of Transportation.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, you can tell.
Okay. You're doing
I
great.
moved here from Texas about 2 years ago.
Yes.
I keep telling my staff, every time I say that wrong, please correct me or I'll never
Yeah.
get myself in the right state. So I worked in Texas as an engineer for a long time.
Off here because this is not your presentation.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
I don't have a presentation. I didn't really think this warranted one, and Rachel agreed with me. Local entities are required by federal code to inspect and maintain their bridges in accordance with the National Bridge Inspection Standards. ODOT helps some of the cities in Oklahoma with that. Cities that have 5 or more bridges are qualified by ODOT, where ODOT will administer and pay for a bridge inspection contract for those cities. Stillwater is one of those cities. We have 28 bridges in the city limits, and so we qualify for ODOT to pay for and administer the bridge inspection contract for us. Every 2 years, ODOT pre-qualifies consultants for these bridge inspection contracts via an RFQ process. In your packet, you had a letter that showed they've given Stillwater and other cities option to choose, if we wish, which pre-qualified consultant we prefer working with, or we would like to have them hired to inspect our bridges. Engineering staff have reviewed the written qualifications submitted to ODOT by all the pre-qualified consultants, and in the opinion of staff, Consor North America is the most highly qualified consultant. We are recommending that council approve the proposed resolution that was in your packet, selecting them as the consulting firm responsible for the city bridge inspections that will occur sometime between April 1st of 2026 and the end of March of 2028. As I said before, this bridge inspection work is paid for by ODOT, so there's no cost involved to the city for this. The inspection report and results are given to the city, and engineering staff then are able to figure out what we then need to do as far as maintenance and repair action. The resolution, if we want to choose a consultant, is due to ODOT by November 28th. So otherwise, ODOT selects on the city's behalf. So I'm welcome to answer any questions you have.
Councilors, any questions? I always like to just clarify, we did this a couple years ago, that this is just regular bridge inspection, not anything particular that needs to be inspected. This is just
Yes,
a thing
sir.
that we do on a regular basis.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Thank you so much. And I assume you're recommending that we adopt the resolution.
We are recommending that you adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Ann. Councilors?
I move adoption of Resolution CC 2025-29.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That resolution is adopted with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to ordinances. On first read, we have Ordinance 3584, an ordinance amending the Stillwater City Code by amending Chapter 23, Land Development Code, Article 1, General Provisions, Section 23-7, Definitions, Article 5, Use Categories and Limitations, Division 1 Generally, Section 23-96, Definitions, Article 6, Land Use Classifications, Division 4, Commercial Districts, Section 23-152, CB Commercial Business District, Subsection A, Permitted by Right, and Article 24, Table of Uses, Section 23-435, created, repealing all ordinances to the contrary and providing for severability. This is from earlier item tonight. Councilors?
Motion to advance ordinance number 3584 to second read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Ordinance 3584 is advanced to second reading. Also on first reading, we have Ordinance 3585, an ordinance amending the Stillwater City Code by amending Chapter 23, Land Development Code, Article 5, Use Categories and Limitations, Division 2, Accessory Use Categories and Regulations, Section 23-105, Sidewalk, Street, and Parking Lot Table Service Areas, repealing all ordinances to the contrary and providing for severability. This is also from earlier this evening. Councilors?
Motion to advance ordinance number 3585 to second read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Ordinance 3585 is advanced to second reading. Reports from the officers and the board. Ms. Carnley.
A request for an executive session pursuant to 25 OS Section 307B1 for the purpose of discussing the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of City Manager Brady Moore and City Attorney Kimberly Carnley.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yes, just a reminder that the Stillwater Municipal Building will be closed on Thursday, November 28th for Thanksgiving Day and Friday, November 29th. To give staff an opportunity to spend more time with loved ones, we encourage everyone to plan ahead for any city services that may be needed during the holiday closure. We wish Stillwater residents and those in the surrounding communities a safe and joyful Thanksgiving filled with family, friends, health, and happiness. To view all city observed holidays, go to stillwaterok.gov/holidays.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Jaloski.
The holiday season is upon us, and downtown Stillwater is ready to welcome families and friends to enjoy a variety of festive activities that highlight the charm and spirit of our community. Save the date and participate in the annual Parade of Lights on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in downtown Stillwater. Stillwater Community Center, Visit Stillwater, and Downtown Association President Colette Campbell are accepting parade participant entry forms until Friday, November 14th at 5 p.m. To download the entry form and information, and for details on other holiday fun, go to stillwaterok.gov/holidays.
It's holiday time. Thank you.
No, I haven't put my pumpkins away yet.
Counselor Hawkins.
My Christmas tree was up before Halloween.
just.
Following the holiday spirit, let's celebrate the holidays at Block 34 on Saturday, December 6th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Come enjoy festive skies with our holiday heroes and drone shows. Visit with Santa, ice skate on Irby Lane, take pictures inside a snow globe, and get some great treats from our food vendors. Many thanks to our sponsors, Visit Stillwater and the Stillwater Chamber of Commerce, for helping out with these great events. Save the date and join us for some holiday cheer.
Thank you. Counselor Clark.
We extend our appreciation to Our Daily Bread, its Executive Director Rachel Conley, and her dedicated team for their incredible service to Stillwater and the surrounding communities. Our Daily Bread is a vital resource for food security and so much more, especially now as national concerns over SNAP funding and food availability impact families right here in Stillwater. For anyone in need of assistance, Our Daily Bread is here to provide nutritious groceries and essential items. No one is turned away, and the support is with dignity and care. Also, for those who would like to help through donations of food or funds, please reach out to the team by calling 405-533-2555 or email info@ourdailybreadstillwater.org.
Thank you so much. Counselor Harden.
Our community continues to embrace multiple modes of transportation, from walking, running, to cycling and more. We want to ensure our pathways are connected and safe. If you notice a possible sidewalk improvement or maintenance need, please share that with our city staff through online reporting. To request a new sidewalk, share that information at stillwaterok.gov/sidewalkconnect. To report sidewalk repair, please go to stillwaterok.gov/request tracker. Both reporting sites are easy to use, and the information received is immediately shared with the appropriate departments. We appreciate your feedback and help as we continue fostering a safe, enjoyable, and vibrant community.
Thank you, sir. I will let everyone know that you can join us this Friday on Block 34 for the Payne County United Way Beanbag Benefit. This is sure to be a good time with beanbag tossing. This is cornhole. This is a cornhole tournament. Smack talking, food trucks, music, and what appears to be perfect weather. Check-in is until noon, and the tournament begins at 1 p.m. Whether you're cheering on your favorite team, enjoying great food, or having a team of your own, we hope to see you at Block 34 this Friday to support the United Way. You can sign up at unitedwaypaynecounty.org. I also just want to highlight, we kind of skipped over it, but there's going to be ice skating on Block 34. We're going to have an ice rink out on Irby Lane for a couple of months this winter, so really excited about that. Lots of fun stuff going to be happening on Block 34 over the holidays, so put it on your calendar. All right. At this point, I will move that we recess the city council meeting prior to item 13 on the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the city council meeting is now in recess. And while we are in recess, I will call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for November 3rd, 2025. Trustees, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Takes us down to general orders. 5A, receive annual report from MMO Partners. Consider approval of an extension agreement for federal advocacy services in the amount of $79,200 and approve the associated budget amendments. Shelley Crines.
Hi. Good evening, General Manager and Trustees. Shelley Crines, Grants Manager. MMO Partners serves in an intergovernmental relations capacity, working with the city, Stillwater Utilities Authority, federal agencies, and Congress to ensure the city is positioned to secure federal infrastructure funding for water projects. Kyriakos Pagonis and Charles Thomas with MMO Partners are here this evening to give an annual federal advocacy report for their work on behalf of the city. Now let me find their thing.
Here we go.
Do I just gotta go back? Okay. Mayor, trustees, Thank you for the opportunity for us to be here tonight, and also on behalf of MMO Partners, thank you for the opportunity to represent your interests in Washington. I'm going to go through this PowerPoint. I know there's a number of things happening in DC. Actually, it's sort of things are happening, but not. So let's start by just giving you sort of an overview of sort of what's transpired this year in terms of legislation, other issues that we've been tracking on your behalf. The first one is the Reconciliation Bill, also known as One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Signed into law by President Trump on July 4th, really an extension of the 2017 tax cuts. The reason I flag this is it is probably the largest piece of legislation that has been enacted this year. There was a discussion early on about using the tax exemption status for municipal bonds to pay for some of the bill. The mayor was in DC back in March, and we did meet with the entire delegation to talk about the importance of retaining the exemption. Obviously, here in Oklahoma, it is a big deal. Everywhere it's a big deal, but here too, because of the predominance of your sales tax. And so the delegation certainly, I think, was supportive of keeping it. It was not included in the bill, so that's a major win. There are other things in the bill that we're not going to go into. It's not necessarily a utility thing, but obviously, there are things like low-income housing tax credits, the opportunity zones, their pay-fors using Medicaid and SNAP benefits. So a lot of those things we're talking about today. And so that's why I flagged this piece of legislation for a number of reasons, but just for some context. The FY26 budget, we're still, it should have been sort of signed into law by the end of September, which is the end of the fiscal year. We're still in that process, given the shutdown. So there is a CR that was passed by the House to extend current funding to November 21st. That has not been adopted by the Senate, so we are in a shutdown. There has been some discussion recently about that November 21st deadline. Obviously, we're now November 3rd, so that 21st deadline is going to have to get changed, and I think that's probably where we'll see some new activity, especially on the House side. They're going to have to come back and pass a new bill. So that's probably in the works in the next week or two to sort of figure that out. But they will have to come back and change that. The FEMA Act, this is something that we've been tracking closely in the House. It passed the T&I committee with pretty broad bipartisan support. I think it was 57-3. It does do a couple things that are because of the city's work with FEMA over the past year, actually longer than that. It does take FEMA out of Homeland Security. It proposes to take it out of Homeland Security. It also creates a new mitigation formula program. As you all may recall, we've been working with FEMA to do a competitive grant. This would sort of flip the script on that. It would create a formula program. Funding would go to the states on formula, and then the states would have to suballocate 50%. Currently, the states would have to suballocate 50% to local governments. There's at least one project per county. That's the way it's written now. There will be, I think, some changes to this, but it certainly would certainly create a sort of a more sustainable and dependable source of funding for mitigation. So that's something we're very excited about. I think, again, will it pass this year, like calendar year? Probably not. But it is something that, because it does have pretty broad bipartisan support, we feel pretty optimistic that it can get done in this session of Congress. Water Resources Development Act, and the next slide we'll talk a little bit about the city's authorization, but we're beginning to do the next iteration of the WRDA bill. So they just passed the 24 bill at the beginning of this year. Congress is now on a 2-year cycle, so the next bill theoretically would be 2026. So Congress is now having hearings about the next WRDA bill. So that's something we're certainly tracking on your behalf. So that sort of gives you a little bit of flavor of kind of the pieces of legislation we're looking at. There's obviously a lot more going on, but those things, especially the budget, are important to the city. The WRDA bill I have on this next slide was signed into law by the president on January 4th. There's a $30 million authorization for the city that was included by the delegation. So on both sides, Senate and House, was included in both bills. So the authorization, I think we talked about this last year, allows the city to seek future appropriations and work with the Corps of Engineers to build water, wastewater infrastructure, and water supply infrastructure. That's currently the authorization, the way it's written. We're going to be working with, and Chuck will talk about this a little bit in the next slide, but working with the city to sort of build a pipeline of projects that would go against that authorization. So that's something we're going to be doing, assuming you all approve of our work. We'll be doing that in the next year. I want to say on the word authorization, this is certainly a team effort. So, the mayor coming back to DC, meeting with EPW staff, Environment and Public Works staff, talking about the importance. Obviously, the delegation, supporting it, but really the city staff and with the city manager's office, we couldn't have done that without all of those pieces. So I just want to make sure that it's not an MMO partners thing. It's a City of Stillwater victory. So that will be there. That authorization will be there in theory until Congress deauthorizes it. And they don't really like to do that since they just authorized it. So there's a lot of these authorizations that are on the books for a long time. It's really up to the city to pursue the funding and work with the Corps of Engineers to get the funding against that authority. So that's something we'll be working with city staff to do. FY appropriations, there's $1 million in the House Interior Appropriations Bill for the drinking water system. It was included by Representative Lucas. Senator Mullen also supported it on the Senate side. Again, this bill is sort of tied up with the rest of the appropriations process, so to be determined how this plays out. Last year, Congress couldn't pass bills individually. They passed a continuing resolution for the entire year, which stripped all of the earmarks. That's certainly a possibility again this year. I know, the chairman on the House side, Mr. Cole, is certainly working hard to try not to have that happen again. I think appropriators like to see their bills enacted. So I think once we get through this shutdown, they're going to be working hard to get these bills done. I'll go to the next slide, and Chuck, if you want to come on up and talk about what we're going to be doing on your behalf for this year.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Trustees. So the next thing, of course, as Kyriakis just mentioned, will be to continue to shepherd that FY26 appropriation through to its conclusion, and just make sure we can try to get across the finish line with that, and dealing with all the various uncertainties in that. And then quickly on the heels of that is beginning to develop our FY27 appropriations request. So ideally, those are going to be getting put into place in around the March timeframe. So given all the holidays and everything that are happening in between, it does shorten the amount of days that we have to work on that. So it'll really be important to kind of hit the ground running and start developing all those appropriations requests, and particularly with relationships to the WRDA authorization that Stillwater currently has in place. That's a great place to really start focusing on getting those projects defined and figuring out where we want to prioritize requesting that appropriation under that authority. We also want to continue our congressional and federal agency outreach. I think there's a synergistic benefit to really establishing an ongoing presence, not only with the congressional delegation, but with the federal agency staff, both locally at the various field offices, but at headquarters as well. The more that they can associate, Stillwater as individuals and faces and whatnot, it really helps lend kind of a familiarity to the process. And I think just supports moving these projects through the system on that. So I think that's a really important step to take, and it just takes time, to get that, to kind of move that through. It takes multiple years, and we'll get that. And again, both focusing on the projects that can go under the WRDA authorization. And then finally, working with the city to identify and secure additional federal grant opportunities. They're listed here: Corps of Engineers, EPA, as Kyriakis just mentioned, the FEMA Act, depending on how that goes goes through. I think it's important to recognize that federal grant opportunities are going to continue to exist in the future. They're going to be out there. But this changing landscape of how the federal priorities are moving forward, either in how they prioritize projects or the mechanisms, and again, referencing the FEMA Act, how that's going to shift the way that money gets allocated, really provides a lot of different opportunities to pursue that we might not have considered under the old regime. So it's really important to stay on top of that and figure out where we can jump into and that are most advantageous for the city to pursue. So those are a lot of the steps that we're looking at moving forward with this next year, hopefully. Oh yeah, and then any questions?
Trustees, any questions? One of the things we've talked about a little bit, we had the issue, and we've all talked about this a lot, but we had the FEMA BRIC grant program that we were pursuing. You guys were helping us with for 2 years to try to get that grant submitted, and of course it got pulled out from under us right when we were ready to submit it. That money is still sitting somewhere, all of the BRIC money, I think.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, there's FEMA publishes a monthly report on their fund balance, and there's about $4.8 billion in the BRIC account as of today. That is just sitting there.
Yeah. So one of the things we've talked about a little bit is that we as a city and in our advocacy efforts, having that conversation with our delegation about that money that was earmarked to use for building resilience and infrastructure, we could use a little resilience in our infrastructure, and there's still a need here. So whether that goes through the new FEMA Act or something, that's all, of course, we talk about this a lot. This is all our federal tax money that all of us in this room pay in income tax that goes to the federal government, that we are working really hard to say, hey, give us some of that back so that we can make sure our water pipeline is resilient and that our water system is resilient. And so those conversations are continuing, even though the program itself is gone. We really appreciate the work that MMO has done to help us try to identify additional avenues and different ways to come at these problems to try to figure out ways to bring this money back to Stillwater. The word authorization is a big deal. We've talked about this a little bit before, but we do need to find ways to get that money actually on the ground here in Stillwater, which again is really helpful to have guidance in navigating the just absolute zoo that Washington D.C. is right now, and we really appreciate your assistance in that to this point. So, thoughts, questions, comments? Well, we appreciate your work. Appreciate you all being here today, getting down here and giving us a report and letting us know how it's going.
Mayor, thank you. Trustees, thank you. I was going to say, I should have started with this by saying thank you for being open for business. It's nice to...
Did we have the option to shut down? I don't think we even have the option, do we? They don't let us do that.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do for us.
Shelley, I think, do you have a recommendation for us as to the extension?
Approve the extension agreement number 3 with MMO Partners for federal advocacy services in the amount of $79,200. Approve associated budget amendment and authorize the general manager to sign the related documents.
Trustees?
General Manager, I would recommend that we amend that motion to leave off the authorization for the general manager because that wasn't on the agenda.
All right. So
I move to approve the staff recommendation as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the extension agreement and the associated budget amendment. Please vote. That's approved with a vote of 5-0. Thanks so much. Thanks, Shelley. All right, that takes us to the end of this agenda. Any reports from the officers of the board? Is there a motion to adjourn the SUA?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SUA. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0. The Stillwater Utilities Authority is now adjourned. At this time, I will call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for November 3rd, 2025. Trustees, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to, oh, go ahead.
Motion to approve the consent docket?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. There's nothing further on this agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater Economic Development Authority is now adjourned. This time we'll reconvene the Stillwater City Council meeting. Prior to item 13 on the agenda, is there a motion to enter executive session for the purposes requested by the city attorney?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter executive session. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council will now enter executive session. All right. Do we have a motion to re-enter regular session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to come out of executive session.
Mayor Joyce,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Jaloski,
Yes.
Counselor Hawkins,
Yes.
Counselor Clark,
Yes.
Counselor Harden.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council is back in regular session. Are there any recommended actions from executive session?
No action.
Seeing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the City Council. Please call the roll.
Mayor Joyce,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Jaloski,
Yes.
Counselor Hawkins,
Yes.
Counselor Clark,
Yes.
Counselor Harden.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council is now adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for this evening.